Hello everyone, I'm Love here, back again with another Awaken Chaos Era video. So in today's video, I'll be giving you my first impressions on the 4 new heroes that were introduced in the game yesterday. So let's check out the update notice here. So based from the update notice, they have added 3 legendary heroes who are Divine Yolanda, is a light affinity hero, Rachel is a wood affinity hero, and Terez is a water affinity hero. Apart from that, they also added one epic hero who is known as Horry. So let's check them out in the index. So the first hero that I'll be checking out would be Rachel. So she's located in the Holy Light Empire. So this is her character animation. She floats in the air, gleaming with very bright light. Based from my first look on her, she's like a light hero rather than a wood affinity hero because there's no wood element around her. It's most likely like a light hero, but the developers have changed her affinity to a wood instead. I'm not sure why they do it, but I think it's still okay because maybe this will give her some usage. So her character design is really beautiful. There's a nice cloak with a gleaming sword that sparkles with light, as well as she has some sort of like light aura around her. To match with her dress, she's also a blonde with a ponytail tied to her hair there. And she seems like a warrior dress, so most likely she's a damage dealer. Alright, so let's check out her stats. She has an S rating for attack, A rating for critical rate, and B rating for the remaining stats here, which are health, defense, and speed. Let's check out her abilities, starting with her trait, known as the Divine Commandment. If the primary target has positive effects, launches a bonus attack with the special ability only once per round. And upon ascending her, she will also gains a 10% bonus critical damage up to a 5 stacks, so she can deal at least 50% more critical damage. So she is best to use against like heroes that relies heavily on positive effects, so that she can deal additional damage to them. And heroes that can the primary target for her would be, I think, Jonathan. Jonathan produces a shield on himself whenever he receives AoE damage, so you can use Rachel against him, or you can also use her against like Hakrin, who also put up the positive effect on himself to raise his max health. Let's check out her basic ability there, which is known as the Heavenly Smite. Deals 130% damage to one enemy and applies defense down for 2 turns. And in order for her to apply the defense down, she needs to have some focus stats. And since she's not a light hero, she does not have the additional 30% focus stats, so you need to give her some stats. If you're using her particularly in arena, 60% focus stat will be sufficient. Or if you're using her in like a dungeon, most likely you need 80 to 100% focus. Let's move on to her next ability, which is known as the Sacred Sanction. It's a 3 turn skill cooldown, deals 165% damage to one enemy and removes 2 of the positive effects if the target is a water hero. Deals bonus damage based on their max health. So this skill is really interesting because the only enemy that fit this role would be like Queen of Tides, where Queen of Tides places a lot of buff on herself, like shield buff, resistance up buff, defense up buff, and many other things. And she can strip away all of those, strip away 2 of the positive effects and deal additional damage, which is a max health damage, which makes it really powerful. But they didn't mention how much damage. Maybe like 10% of their max health or 20%? I'm not sure. Most likely it's either 3 or 6%, which is a lower version, like a poison damage. Which is I think this skill is really made for like Queen of Tides because because I can see there's some patterns where the Ace developers have introduced heroes that specializes for dungeons. Like as you notice, Halia is for the Wish of the Wind, Pluto is for Ash Magistra, Bela is for the Roaring Topa, and then we have Rachel for the Queen of Tides. And next would be the Gemini Dragon, but I'm not so sure if they want to build a hero for that for the Helm Stage 3 as well as the Helm Stage 4, because we have Ganjilo to tackle the Gemini Dragon for using with his poison, unless the Ace developers have a different thing in mind where where he's not using poison but pure damage like Rachel. Alright, so let's move on to her ultimate ability, which is known as the Holy Hello. This ultimate ability has a 4-turn skill cooldown, deals 220% damage to one enemy and grants Spike Restoration, and attack up to all allies for 3 turns. Also gains Spike Restoration and attack up version 2 for 3 turns on herself. Yeah, I think based from all of her skill kit, is made for the Queen of Tides, because Spike Restoration is really powerful, especially when you're using her against enemies that perform multiple joint attacks or bonus turn attacks. Because each time the enemy hits you, right, rather if the damage is strong, weak, they will instantly gain 50% of the max health regardless of the amount of damage taken, which makes it really powerful compared to like heal over time. And Spike Restoration mechanic is something similar to Jonathan's shield, where each time you perform AoE damage to Jonathan, right, he replenishes the shield. But Spike Restoration does something differently. Rather than replenishing the shield, it replenishes the health of the particular hero, which makes it really powerful against the Queen of Tides, where the Tide guys perform joint attack with their AoE attacks. Alright, so let's check out the official guide from the Ace developers. So we can see that they recommend Warrior set, Curse set, as well as Assassin set. I'm not sure why they recommend Assassin set, because it's made purely for joint attackers like Opal, Jacob, Baron Shadowblood. So I think joint attackers like Erendil, Baron Shadowblood, and Opal. Jacob is most likely for Curse set because he gains multiple bonus turns. But this hero does not have any bonus turns at all, and most of her attacks are all single target. So I think she's made for a boss damage dealer rather than a hero that clears up the wave like the first and second wave in the dungeon. So most likely you'll need to pair her with another damage dealer to clear off the wave, and she's there mainly as the damage dealer for the boss. And where can we use her? Most likely we can use her in the Queen of Tides, but I'm not sure. I don't think she's useful for the No Man's Land like the Bane Wraith, because Bane Wraith requires a lot of bonus turn and bonus attacks. Okay, so that's basically her skill kit as well as her use case and the recommendation of the gears. For recommendation gears, I think I will gear her in the Warrior set and Curse set for additional attack. Alright, so that's basically Rachel. Let's move on to the second hero in the index here. So this is the second hero, which was introduced yesterday, and this guy is known as Terez. He's a legendary hero, Water Affinity, and he looks like a Terminator from the future. His eyes is gleaming with blue light, and his hair is in blue flames, and his weapon is also gleaming with some kind of like dark flame as well. He looks pretty scary, with some black cloak, some things spark out from his chest. Oh, it's like an undead Terminator from the future. Alright, so let's check out his stats. He has an S rating for attack, A rating for health and critical rate, and B rating for defense and speed. And yeah, I think based from his stats, he's more like a bruiser hero, like a Lightwing Zachary or some sort like that. Either it's a Lightwing Zachary or like Holy Light Virgil. Alright, so let's check out his abilities. His trait is known as the Abyssal Guard. When attacking, he will recover his health based on the remaining cooldown of the target's ultimate ability by 10% max health per turn. And when you ascend Terez, he will gain an additional effect where when the enemies attack him, he will be able to reduce the damage up to 20% if the attacker's ultimate ability is in cooldown. Alright, so based from his trait, right, he's like something similar to Holy Light Virgil, but with a condition where the enemy's ultimate ability needs to have at least one cooldown for him to be able to heal himself. Alright, so let's move on to his basic ability here, known as the Demon's Edge. Deals 130% damage to one enemy and increases their ultimate ability cooldown by 1 turn. So this is really useful if you are able to like gear him in either a Curse set or a Divine set. So So like let's say if you build him super slow, let the enemies go first, attack him, then the ultimate ability is on cooldown. Then he uses the divine set to perform the counter attack to raise the ultimate cooldown by additional 1 turn. Or you can also use a curse set in case if his subsequent abilities are able to give him bonus turn. Alright, so let's check out his passive ability here, known as the Shadow Vengeance. Upon receiving area damage, reduces the damage received by 60% and gains 1 bonus turn, up to 2 times per round. It's like a Lightwing Zachary. He gains, but he doesn't gain multiple bonus turn. He only gains like maximum 2 bonus turn per round. If you're able to like give him some mastery books. So this one is like Lightwing Zachary plus Kasim, because he is able to reduce the area damage as well. Alright. This is pretty powerful. And each time he gains a bonus turn, right, if you're equipping him in a revival set, he can heal himself at the same time as well. So revival set also works really well with him to make him super tanky. That's really powerful. And his ultimate ability is known as the Nightmare Hunt. It's a 3-turn skill cooldown that deals 140% damage to one enemy and damage scales with the remaining cooldown of the target's ultimate ability, 45% damage per turn. If the target is killed, deals splash damage to all enemies equal to 60% of the damage dealt. So I guess I think this ultimate ability is really useful against like squishy heroes. So if the enemy team has one squishy hero and you use this ultimate ability, it deals like massive amount of damage to them. Usually, most of the ultimate skill cooldowns on the enemy will have either 3 turns or 4 turns. If it's 3 turns, that is additional 130% damage on top of this 140% damage. So 140 plus 130 is around about 270% damage. And 270% damage plus 60% damage. So 60% damage to the remaining enemies who are alive. That's really powerful. So 270% damage to that particular target. Then if the target is killed, he'll deal 60% more damage to the remaining enemies there. So based from his skill kit alone, he's most likely built as a damage dealer for the arena, like the traditional arena, 3 vs 3 arena, as well as the real-time arena. And you can either gear him in the revival set to benefit from his passive skill, or a curse set to raise the ultimate cooldown of the enemies by additional 1 turn, but you need to be lucky for your curse set or divine set to work. But if you do not want to have any RNG, most likely you want to build him in a revival set to benefit from this. But this one only works if you're using him against AoE attackers. So if the team does not have any AoE attackers, right, he's like losing half of his capabilities here. Alright, so let's check out the official guide. So they recommend revival set and curse set as well. And it seems that no one has obtained him yet. That's the time of this recording. Alright, so that's basically it for Terez skills. Let's move on to the third hero. So the third hero is located in the Free Cities and she's known as the Divine Yolanda. This Divine Yolanda is the light hero compared to like the traditional Yolanda, who is a wood affinity hero. So this Divine Yolanda has a larger staff that is gleaming in light, and she has 2 spheres floating on her shoulders there. Maybe it's to give her some power. And she dressed up in brown and gold theme. So let's check out her stats here. So she has an S rating for speed, A rating for attack and health, and B rating for defense and critical rate. So most likely she's a supporter hero here. So let's check out her abilities. So her trait is known as the Holy Protection. This hero is immune to all negative effects and will not take damage more than 65% of their max health from each instance of damage. And upon ascending her, she will gain this additional effect here. Upon taking little damage, converts the damage you receive into healing up to 1 times per battle. Alright, so basically you do not need to build her in high resistance, and she cannot be crowd control. If she's introduced in like the Void Tower Hut, it makes her really annoying to defeat her in that particular like boss stage or those floors. Okay, That's really interesting. So I think she'll be quite a useful hero for the arena. Yeah, I think for arena, I think she will be also useful for areas that applies negative effects. Maybe she's good in Batwolf, the faction wars, because she cannot take any negative effects. So most likely, the Batwolf will not be able to nuke her down with the plague. Alright, so let's check out her next ability. Her basic ability is known as the Sunburst, deals 130% damage to one enemy. And this damage ignores the target's defense but cannot trigger critical strike. Also removes one negative effect from a team member and restores 10% of their max health. So this one has the effects of the traditional Yolanda that remove negative effect. But this one restores 10% of the max health, which is similar to a dark legendary hero who is known as Aubrey from the Soul Plunders. But it's quite interesting that the developers mentioned that this one cannot trigger critical strike. Maybe this skill does a lot of damage, or maybe her subsequent abilities deals a lot of damage. Let's check out her second ability here. This special ability is known as the Radiant Healing, which is a 3-turn skill cooldown, applies critical resistance up version 2, which grants 50% critical resistance and 1 stack of invincible to all team members for 2 turns. Ability cooldown is reset when an ally is killed, invincible is removed after attack. So this ability is something similar to Mary that applies invincible, but this one is a 2 turns rather than a 1 turn. Okay. So this is quite useful to protect heroes against the first wave of nuke. So most likely if you want to protect your heroes, you want her to go first in battle, apply this invincible buff, then let the enemies perform their attacks. Then they will be protected by this invincible buff here. And with this critical resistance up, you have a hard time to apply the debuff on your heroes. Okay, that's good. And her ultimate ability is known as the Holy Execution, is a 3-turn skill cooldown. Reduces one enemy's current health percentage to the enemy with the lowest health percentage and deals 120% damage to both. Wait, reduces one enemy's current health percentage to the... Oh, okay. If the enemy's health is the lowest, deals 2 instances of damage instead, which means 240% damage to that particular hero. Damage ignores the target's defense but cannot trigger critical strike. Enemies killed by this ability cannot revive, ineffective against bosses. So basically, based from her ultimate ability, she's not a dungeon speed farmer, but most likely an anti-reviver hero who is made mainly for Metasia, to counter Metasia teams. Alright, so I think I know how to use her already. Basically, you want to pair Divine Yolanda with a damage dealer, bring down one of their squishy heroes, health low enough, and then you use Divine Yolanda, Holy Execution, target the Metasia, so that the Metasia health will drop to the same amount as like the squishy hero, and then use the damage, 120% damage, to nuke her down. And that 130% damage is like true damage that ignores the enemies' defense stats. So you need to build her with very high amount of attack stats, and you can skip the critical strike at critical rate as well as the critical damage. Then you can focus on speed for her to go first, or most likely you don't want her to go first. You want your damage dealers to deal some damage, only then you use this Holy Execution. So most likely you want her, Divine Yolanda to go first, apply the Invincible, then on the second round, use her for the Holy Execution to anti-revive the enemies. I think this is the way to go if you want to use Divine Yolanda in the arena. So her skill kit is mainly like a damage dealer and a supporter hero. Alright, so let's check out the Ace Developers official guide to see what they recommend. So they recommend Warrior set, Revival set, and Dragon skill set. Dragon skill set. She doesn't have any healing abilities, so most likely you want to gear her in a Revival set rather than a Dragon skill set, because she has already has an inbuilt system where her Holy Protection prevents damage taking more than 65% damage to protect her there. So she'll be able to like survive 2 rounds. As you notice, right? If she receives 1 nuke, she will only receive maximum 75% damage. If she reduces a second attack, and the attack is able to kill her, if she's ascended, right, that damage will heal her up back to like max health. So she's unkillable within that first round itself. So most likely you will not build her in a dragon scale set, but you build her in a revival set alone. Revival set and a warrior set. To quickly heal her up and also quickly to prevent the Amnesia from reviving. I think that's the way to go for her. Most likely her use case is for Arena, like Terez, the second hero that I've gone through. Alright, so this is quite interesting. The Ace developers introduces 2 legendary heroes for Arena and 1 legendary hero for the Queen of Tides. So let's check out the 4th and final hero in the index, who is Horry. Alright, so this is Horry. Horry is located in the Visitors by Sea faction. He's a water affinity hero. So based on his character design, he's very average. He seems like a pirate with a long pirate sword, and he does not have any character animation like the legendary heroes there. Alright, so his stats has an A rating for attack and critical rate, B rating for health and speed, and C rating for defense. So he's basically a damage dealer but a squishy one. So let's check out his abilities. So his trait is known as the Lurking Striker. If the target is the non-boss enemy with the lowest health, launches a bonus attack with Serpent Thrust up to 1 time per round. Okay, so in order to benefit from this trait, you need to target the lowest health so that he can trigger this Serpent Thrust ability here. So if you ascended him, he also gains a stealth for 2 turns at the start of the battle, something similar to the hero Borden from the Free Cities, who also is capable of applying stealth to himself. And let's check out his Serpent Thrust. Deals 100% damage to 1 enemy and ignores the target's defense up, damage reduction, and shield effects and skills based on their lost health. And upon ascending this, it will raise the damage up from 100% to 150% damage. Which is quite good. I think he's most likely a Arena hero, Arena damage dealer. Alright, so his basic ability is known as the Wicked Blade. Gains critical damage up for 2 turns and deals 110% damage to 1 enemy. Okay. And his passive ability is known as the Hot Pursuit. Upon killing an enemy, has a 100% chance to launch a bonus attack with Serpent Thrust on the enemy with the lowest health up to 2 times per round. Wow, he's like, I think he has some similar mechanic like Orky from the Silver Woodlands. Okay. Next, his ultimate ability is known as the Tsunami Slash. It's a 4-turn skill cooldown, gains attack up for 2 turns and deal 160% damage to 1 enemy. So all of his abilities are all single target, and he's not a mob clearer, so he won't be used as a mob clearer for dungeons, most likely for Arena. Yeah, I think Arena. So I think to boost up his single target damage, right, just gear him in a warrior set. So his use case is most likely Arena, real-time Arena, 3v3 Arena, or maybe you can use for the guild versus environment, for the medium or small relics, in case if you are lacking of heroes. Let's check out the official guide. So they recommended Raider set, warrior set, and assassin set. Assassin set will be good for him because he mentions that he gains a bonus attack. So it's not a bonus turn. Bonus turn benefits for curse set. Bonus attack benefits for assassin set. So assassin set works really well with him. And apart from that, he has a really high base speed. So having him to go first in battle with the Raider set and the assassin set makes him a vital hero to quickly take out one of their squishy fire affinity heroes. Like, I think it can be made something similar to like Andre from the Soul Plunders. Just build him with high speed, attack, critical rate, and critical damage. And I think you do not need to focus on any focus stats at all because he does not apply any debuff. So I think you can, I think he can be made like an assassin go first in battle, take down their squishy high heroes. And yeah, then you can prevent them from nuking your heroes. This one is really good. Alright. So that's basically it for my first impressions on these 4 heroes, who are Rachel, Terez, Divine Yolanda, and Horry. Do let me know down in the comments below which hero you like to get your hands on to test them out in the comments below, and I'll choose the 10 commentators who comment down in the comment section below which hero you like to get your hands on during the summoning session. I think that will be happening on November. Then I'll pick those 9 commentators to give them the promo code which you can redeem for some in-game resources like diamonds or advanced summon crystals or EXP jelly. Alright, and also if you're new to my channel, do click the subscribe button. It does not cost anything. And you can also ring the notification bell to stay up to date whenever I upload a new video on this channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye!